President Claudia Sheinbaum of Mexico gave one of the most powerful addresses I've ever seen. She's confronting the United States for the imposition of tariffs, economic warfare, coercion, warfare. Donald Trump declaring it on our great ally Mexico, and Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum is not standing by. She gave this incredible presidential address. First, let me show you the highlights. Here, Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum talks about the bravery of the Mexican people, and she addresses Mexican Americans or people who are in America from Mexico about the love that she has for Mexican people across the world and in the United States, and how she is their president and will fight for them and their dignity. Watch this clip first.
To our Mexican brothers and sisters in the United States, I want to tell you that here is your president and the whole nation to defend you. If you wish to return to Mexico, here we embrace you. The people of Mexico are brave and have a lot of dignity. They are the most wonderful people on earth. I tell you that here is your president. We have courage and firmness, but always, as I have said on other occasions, we must act with a cool head and love for the people. Nothing we do will affect the dignity and interests of the people of Mexico.
Then President Claudia Sheinbaum of Mexico calls out the United States for its consumption of synthetic drugs like fentanyl and the failure of the United States government to take any action within its own territory while trying to scapegoat and attack its allies like Mexico and Canada. Here, play the clip.
If the government of the United States and its agencies wanted to address the serious fentanyl consumption in their country, why don't they start by combating the sale of drugs on the streets of their main cities? Or how is it that people with addictions buy that drug? Why have we never heard of arrests in the United States of American criminal groups? How is it that the money laundering of criminal groups there is not investigated? Why don't they employ all their intelligence to detect the criminal groups selling fentanyl in their territory or other drugs? Well, they could also start a massive campaign to prevent the consumption of these drugs and take care of their youth like we do in Mexico.
Now, I want to share with you more from that speech because as you see, it is incredible. I want to show you this first as well. This is the late President Ronald Reagan here in the United States. Here's what he had to say in 1988 about our trade relationships with those on our borders, specifically Canada here, but Canada, Mexico, because I think you'll see very similar language to President Sheinbaum. Here, play this clip.
Our peaceful trading partners are not our enemies. They are our allies. We should beware of the demagogues who are ready to declare a trade war against our friends, weakening our economy, our national security, and the entire free world, all while cynically waving the American flag. The expansion of the international economy is not a foreign invasion. It is an American triumph, one we worked hard to achieve, and something central to our vision of a peaceful and prosperous world of freedom.
So to all of these MAGAs, by the way, who are invoking Reagan's name, you should just take that name out of your mouth. Now, let me be very clear. I'm no fan of Reagan, but when it came to speaking about allies and neighbors, even that's how he spoke about our allies and neighbors, with compassion and care. And Reagan was at least diplomatic in his language and his actions toward our allies. Let me play for you right now President Claudia Sheinbaum's full speech. I really urge you to listen to the full speech from beginning to end. Now, the speech is translated in the AI software that we're using, so it's a pretty good translation, a little clunky at points, but I think it's important that you hear the full thing. Please, if you can, listen to this, because this is how a real president behaves, diplomatically, with care, with tact. And that's what she says. We're going to proceed carefully. calmly with cool heads. But when we're going to have to act and strike back, we're ready to. Watch this speech.
Good afternoon to everyone. As you are probably aware, yesterday the United States government imposed tariffs of 25% on the products we export to their country. Look, it has been 30 years since this existed because we have a free trade agreement. The last free trade agreement was signed by President López Obrador with President Trump himself. This 25% tariff measure has effects for both countries, but it has very serious effects on the economy of the United States because it will greatly increase the cost of all products exported from Mexico to the United States. It will have 25% more in costs. According to these measures approved by the United States government, there are documents supporting it, and according to this, one of the reasons for imposing this tariff is due to fentanyl entering the United States from Mexico, which causes illnesses and deaths from overdoses. But even more irresponsible, terribly irresponsible, is that the White House issues a document saying that there are links between the government of Mexico and organized crime. I want to talk to you about the statement I published on my social media yesterday. There I explain who truly has ties with these criminal groups, the reason for the overdose deaths of Americans. And I also say that if they want to take action, they should not set their sights on Mexico, but on their own country, where they have done nothing to stop the illegal sale of this and other drugs. First of all, as I said yesterday, we categorically reject the slander made by the White House against the government of Mexico of having alliances with criminal organizations, as well as any interventionist intention in our territory. Sovereignty is not negotiable. If there is such an alliance anywhere, it is in the gun stores of the United States, which sell high-powered weapons, yes, high-powered, that are for the exclusive use of their army to these criminal groups. This was demonstrated, pay close attention, it was demonstrated by the United States Department of Justice on January 8th of this year. Here, I have the document that was published on that date from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, which is part of the Department of Justice. Take note, it acknowledged that 74% of the weapons used by organized crime in Mexico come illegally from the military industry of their country. Our government has seized over 40 tons of drugs in 4 months, including 20 million doses of fentanyl. It has also detained more than 10,000 people linked to these groups. We have a strategy, we address the causes, and we fight impunity. Every day we work for the country's security. Now, if the government of the United States and its agencies wanted to address the serious fentanyl consumption in their country, why don't they start by combating the sale of drugs on the streets of their main cities? Or how is it that people with addictions buy that drug? Why have we never heard of arrests in the United States of American criminal groups? How is it that the money laundering of criminal groups there is not investigated? Why don't they employ all their intelligence to detect the criminal groups selling fentanyl in their territory or other drugs? Well, they could also start a massive campaign to prevent the consumption of these drugs and take care of their use like we do in Mexico. The consumption and distribution of drugs is in their country, and that is also a public health problem they have never addressed. Why don't they ask themselves, what is the underlying reason for so much drug consumption that has been ongoing for so long in the United States? Also, I mentioned it yesterday too, look, the epidemic of synthetic opioids in the United States has its origin in the indiscriminate prescription of medications of this type. which was authorized by the Food and Drug Administration, the so-called FDA, as demonstrated by a trial against a pharmaceutical company. There are TV series that explain it. Moreover, the drug that caused the synthetic opioid consumption crisis is still being sold in their pharmacies with official authorizations. I want to tell you, and this is very important, Mexico does not want confrontation. We start from collaboration between neighboring countries. Mexico not only does not want fentanyl to reach the United States, but we do not want it to reach anywhere. Therefore, most if the United States wants to combat criminal groups and wants us to do it together, we must work comprehensively, but always under principles. The principles of shared responsibility, mutual trust, collaboration, and above all, respect for sovereignty. Sovereignty is non-negotiable. Coordination, yes. Subordination, no. To that end, yesterday, in my statement, I proposed to President Trump that we set up a working group with our best teams, both security and public health. It is not by imposing tariffs that problems are solved, but by speaking and dialoguing as we did, and I want to tell you about this. We have been doing it like this in recent weeks with the State Department to address the migration phenomenon. In our case, always with respect for human rights. The graph that President Trump has been posting on his social media about the decrease in migration was created by none other than our team, which has been in constant communication with his. To our Mexican brothers and sisters in the United States, I want to tell you that here is your president and the whole nation to defend you. If you wish to return to Mexico, here we embrace you. The people of Mexico are brave and have a lot of dignity. They are the most wonderful people on earth. I tell you that here is your president. We have courage and firmness, but always, as I have said on other occasions, we must act with a cool head and love for the people. Nothing we do will affect the dignity and interests of the people of Mexico. I propose that we wait for President Trump's response to our proposal. And in tomorrow's morning briefing, in the People's Morning Briefing, I will be informing you of the first measures of what we call Plan B. As Juarez said, nothing by force, everything by reason and law. And among individuals, as among nations, respect for the rights of others is peace.
Wow, powerful stuff there from Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum. Let me know what you think. What a powerful presidential address she gave on Sunday. Mexico is ready, and they have a real leader in Mexico. Canada's uniting around their leaders. Mexico is uniting. And right now, the United States of America, as our Canadian neighbors on the north say, it feels like we're living above a meth lab right now. And I'm sure our Mexican allies feel like they're living under a meth lab. Donald Trump destroying the United States of America every single day with Elon Musk. And again, let me be very clear to our allies out here. There are tens of millions of Americans who stand in solidarity with you. To our Mexican brothers and sisters, we stand with you in solidarity against Donald Trump. To our Canadian brothers and sisters, same thing. We stand with you against Donald Trump. To our European allies, to our allies in Asia, to our allies in Africa, to our allies in Central and South America who care about democracy, freedom, and peace. We respect your sovereignty, and most Americans aren't with that, just to be very clear. And we will resist until they rip this microphone from my very hands. We will resist and be the voice here on the MeidasTouch Network by your side every step of the way. Please hit subscribe. We're trying to get as many subscribers as we got to grow this quickly. It's free to subscribe, so please hit subscribe. You can also check out MeidasPlus.com. Thanks for watching.
Can't get enough Meidas? Check out the Meidas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more. Sign up for free now at MeidasPlus.com.